And welcome back to another episode of The Credit Authority. Once again, I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and I am so glad that you tuned in today. We always want to start our segment by thanking our sponsors. So thank you to Equity First. If you are experiencing credit and or financial challenges, whether for yourself or for your business, consider reaching out to any one of their trained professionals. They are bilingual, nationwide, and waiting for your call. They could be reached at 631-714-4822. And now in studio, I have my sexy ladies, my friend Annette Mina with Douglas Elliman, and we have Denise Ratchie with Contour Mortgage. How are you, ladies?
Great. How are you?
I love when we have everybody come in. It just makes for a nicer experience. But today I wanted to invite the two of you in because I think it's always important. Every week we try to talk about the market, what's happening in the market, right? I work with tons of centers of influence. So I think what I'd love to discuss today is the importance of having a really good power team. So like Denise, when you're working on a transaction, who's your power team? Like who's your go-to?
Well, first of all, I work with Joanne Saldo and Hugo Alvarez from Contour Mortgage. And I love being able to bounce ideas off of them. Also, if we have a difficult loan, we collaborate and, three brains are better than one.
And I think what happens so many times you're speaking to, or at least I know when I speak to people that are just entering into the industry, they feel so empowered, like I can do it all on my own. I can do this. They almost don't want the help because they think asking for help is a sign of weakness. But I feel like in today's market, the importance of having a really good power team just means exactly what you said. You have the ability to have three people that are thinking strategically on a better solution for the client, right, which produces a better result. Now, in addition to your team, when putting together a transaction, and we can bring this over to Annette, we know that there's multiple people that are involved in making your transaction seamless from, inception to completion. So tell us a little bit about the people that are important to you in making sure that your deals close effectively.
So the first thing is trust and safety coming from me to the client, and their trust and safety in me allows me the ability to refer top tier people. So the people I surround myself with are top home inspectors, top attorneys, top bankers, people who are here to serve, here to ease the stress of the market, ease them into their transaction, and make everything at the end seamless and whole and everybody happy and all on the same page. So it's very I've spent years, decades actually, of securing people like this in my field. So they make me look good, and that's the most important thing. And they make like I said, they make my people feel very much trustful and safe and have a lot of safety.
And I think what happens too, and I think this would be fair to say, when you have a long-standing relationship with other professionals, if there's something, I'll call it a hiccup, and I'll give you an example. You can go directly to that person, and instead of saying you're trying to sabotage my transaction, you're able to say, look, we've been friends a long time. You have to talk to me about this. So an example would be you are going through the process of a home inspection. They're there to still do their job and be the best that they can be. But obviously a bad report could affect, it's a ripple effect that goes, hand in hand. Same thing sometimes with an attorney. There is sometimes meat of a contract, right, that is put in there. And at the end of the day, you're saying, why would you agree, or why would you not, put that in? But having that trusted advisor and that team where you've been working hand in hand, it's no longer, I'm going to call your attorney, Mr. Smith. You're like, hey, I'm getting on the phone with my friend John, because that's the relationship you built. And you can say, I don't understand why you've done this, but if we could all be on the same page, I could mitigate the damage and I can help my client, our client, right, because it's a collaborative, understand the importance of why that was done.
Correct.
Right.
So all of these people are in place to help ease it. And listen, if it's a bad report or the attorney is looking out for the client, that just makes me look even better that they can step away from it and go on to another transaction and stay with me in the deal because they feel secure. But 9 times out of 10, having the power team, having the power inspector and the attorneys, they do, like you said, know how to mitigate. They know how to talk these people through the process. And I'm a solution person, so I can solution it as well. And as a team together, we can kind of come up with, all right, this is what needs to be done. Seller maybe has to take care of something. Buyer has to do something else, and that's usually how it goes.
And sometimes as a banker, we have things that come up that we didn't know in the beginning. So it's my job to keep the realtor informed, but sometimes we want to fix the problem before we let them know so that they don't freak out, right? And a lot of times we know we can get something done before, and I'll tell a realtor after the fact, oh, by the way, this happened, but it's done, it's fixed.
You're kind of having transparency with the scenario amongst your team.
Right.
Because sometimes, like, I'll give you a great example. Obviously, professionally, I'm there behind the scenes making sure that your clients stay financially healthy, right, and credit healthy.
Right.
And I'll get phone calls from realtors or mortgage professionals, and they'll say to me, Rhonda, I need you to do me a solid. If I call my client and tell them that this just hit their credit report and now their interest rate is mitigated, or silly things, right? People don't think they're buying a house, but they don't think to not buy their furniture beforehand. And the next thing you know, their utilization is up on their credit.
Right.
And it tanked their score 20 points. They're no longer eligible. Everybody's up in arms. And I'll get that phone call that says, I need you to just call as our credit advisor. I need you to do this as a solid for me.
Right.
Because if they think that there is an issue, everybody's so explosive, right? And I think having that team adds so much value, and being able to say, look, I haven't done this with this person once. I've had this transaction over and over and over again.
Right.
How hard is it for the two of you, and I'll let either one of you respond, when you start going out and you're networking and you're building your business, there's always the one or two that fall to the side, right? People that leave or they exit the industry and somebody new is trying to come along. How hard is it for you to adapt to new people? I see Annette smiling. How hard is it for you to adapt to working with some new people?
They know me from being in the business for 45 years. So a lot of the new people are like, Annette's on the other end of the transaction or whatever. But I'm like a mama bear, like if I see it's a new agent coming along and trying to do something, I'll kind of ease the pain and I'll kind of take the lead and I'll show them kind of how things really need to be done. And I could hear and sense the fear in them, as a new agent coming on. I guess the advice I would give is, don't be scared. But I facilitate the transaction kind of for them, and I kind of show them, well, no, maybe we should say this, or you know what, let me take the call, I'll handle it from here, and kind of coast them along, during the transaction, because it is hard when you're dealing with it. We call them newbies, and they don't know the industry as well as I do. But you just have to be humble, and you have to just understand where they come from. And I remember my first time out as a new agent, and I try to keep that in perspective.
Which I love. And I'm going to flip this over to you, Denise. We have a lot of people, and I'm going to not giggle when I say this, I'm sorry. We have a lot of people leaving the industry. So that must feel a little good for you, right? That you have people exiting right now, because it allows the people that are true professionals to stay on the forefront. How do you feel right now as you're watching all of this transaction? I call them transactions because I'm watching people go from one company to another, and I'm watching a lot of people exit the industry. Right. And you and Joanne and some of the others I work with are you're on fire. So how does that make you feel now that we have this change in market?
Well, I think, like you said, the seasoned professionals will fare this market And I feel that if we can stick through this until the end of the year, we'll be okay. You know, I've lived through 2008, now this. I've been doing this for more than 20 years, and I think that the people who are leaving are probably more newbies and have just gotten in or don't have a lot of business and relationships that they've built over the years. So I think we will be okay.
Which I love. And just for the sake of time, I think it's important to say that when you're building an important power team, I think we're all friends, right? So at the end of the day, we're here to support each other.
Yes.
So I feel bad sometimes for people that are trying to, penetrate that barrier, right? And join in. I mean, not that anybody's not open to working with new professionals in the market, but we've all become family, and I think that's what's so important. So I'm going to end it on that note. Once again, we are in studio with my seasoned girlfriends. We are with Annette Mina, with Douglas Elliman, and my girlfriend Denise Ratchey, and she is with Contour Mortgage. So until next time, stay tuned, bringing on our next guest.